Hey, this is Ethan Luck from a bunch of bands you might know, and you're listening to the Rumors Are True podcast.
Welcome, this is Jeremy Allen Gould, and I'm coming to you today to confirm between God and of man that the rumors you have all heard are true. I started this podcast to have a platform for the bands and artists that I've worked with in the past, as well as new musicians and artists that influenced myself and many others. The Rumors Are True podcast is an opportunity for the artists to tell their story their way. I'm still in the business of confirming rumors. I still love a good conversation, and I still freaking love music. So thanks again for joining me on this journey, and I hope you like what you hear. With that said, the rumors are definitely true. Hey, welcome to this latest episode of the Rumors Are True podcast. My name is Jeremy, and today I welcome Stephen Keech. You know Stephen from the bands Haste, As Cities Burn, and Stephen and the Lion Tamers. Awesome conversation with Stephen. I've known Stephen for a while, so it's awesome to catch back up, hear his journey in music, and what he has in this upcoming future. So I hope you enjoy this latest episode with Stephen Keech. Friend, thank you so much for coming on the podcast.
What's up, dude? Thank you so much for having me.
Absolutely, man. I'm super honored to reconnect, man, and talk. It's been a while since we've seen each other and worked with you in the past, and it's really cool to kind of see your journey from afar. So I'm really excited to hear your story and kind of, what you've been through in this world, what we have and music scene and all that stuff. So yeah, man, let's talk about what's new in your world. Tell me what's current in your world.
Yeah, I currently work from home out of a little small recording studio, doing music for film and TV and commercials and stuff like that. I live in Hendersonville, Tennessee, and have a beautiful wife and two kids, two boys. Crazy. Who are, wild, and our house is always a mess, and it's just it's a fun It's a fun life. I'm very fulfilled, but I'm also very tired a lot of times.
Yes.
And we've got some new Haste the Day stuff that's being released every few weeks. So
that's exciting.
Yeah, until the record drops on May 1st. So
that's
cool.
my birthday. That's awesome.
It's for your birthday.
That's awesome, man. I'm excited to hear. I heard you put one or two. You put two out, right? 2 songs.
We put Burn out like 16 months ago or something.
Oh yeah, I was gonna say it was a while ago.
It was a long time ago, and that was supposed to be, only like 6 months before the record dropped, and we were planning on releasing more.
Yeah,
and life gets in the way, and
sure,
it took us a lot longer to finish this album. But then we released Shallows on the 6th of February.
Ripping, dude. Sounds great.
Thank you. Yeah, we are
typical. We
are stoked. There's a lot of depth on this record, and also we wanted to make the best metalcore record we could. We didn't want to reinvent ourselves, but there is a little bit of reinvention, but just that happens naturally without trying.
Sure.
But yeah, I'm really excited about this record.
That's awesome, man. Very, very cool. Well, let's talk about growing up for you, Stephen. Kind of bring me through some of those bands, some of those records, influences that kind of pushed you in the direction you've went in.
Yeah. I mean, one of my strongest influences was actually my older sister. My sister Kelly, she was 5 years older than me, and she got really into punk and hardcore. She introduced me to MXPX and Zayo and all those bands, and she would take me to shows at a young age. So I was like 11, she was 16, just got her license, and my parents were, nice enough to let her take me to like these punk rock shows. I remember going to Squad 50 at the Ogden Theater it was MXPX, and Squad 50 was opening at the Ogden Theater in Denver. I must have been 11 years old.
That's amazing.
And I remember walking up, and while Squad 50 was playing, because they like played at doors, and there's a line out the door, and I just remember this dude is getting carried out of the front door. He had a mohawk, and he had like bondage pants on, those like skinny plaid bondage pants, and his face was just covered in blood. And I was like, this is the craziest thing. And it's hilarious because it's an MXPX show, but apparently he had his eyebrow ring ripped out in the pit, in the first band during Squad 50. So she was a big proponent of getting me started in all of that music. And of course I kind of developed my own taste, got into, I loved Zayo. Zayo was like my favorite heavy band. Sure. But I was more into emo, and what I would describe as emo or indie, which is, Further Seems Forever and the Juliana Theory. That to me was like, I just thought of it as emotional indie music or whatever we called it, slow punk, slow emotional punk.
Melodic.
Was like
melodic.
Yeah. Yeah. And, I just loved that kind of stuff. So when I was like, I kept going to shows, going to shows with Kelly. And then eventually, like when I got old enough to go on my own, got all my friends into the local hardcore scene. And we started a band, and it was a lot of fun.
I wonder so I lived in Denver in 98 to 99. I wonder if we were at some of the same shows.
Let's see.
I used to go to the Ogden, the Oslon, Bluebird, Mammoth Event Center, so many shows out that way. It was incredible.
Possible in 99. That was probably when, that Squad 50 show happened at the Ogden.
Yeah. Sounds about right.
I'm guessing, cause let me see. 99 would have been, maybe it was 98.
Yeah,
it's hard.
I
It's
mean,
hard to remember during those
just
times.
that area gets so many shows too, and it just nonstop. Amazing. I took it for granted. I'm a Florida boy, and I lived out there and loved it. Went to great shows, but I wanted to come back to Florida. And looking back, I was like, dang, I kind of had it pretty good out there.
Yeah.
In terms of music.
You know what? Maybe
it
was probably around 2000 or 2000. Yeah, it was around 2000 maybe that I can't remember. It was
dude.
so long
You're
ago.
getting.
I'm
you're
counting
getting up
on
there.
my
I get
hand.
it.
I'm counting on my fingers of how old I would have been at that time.
I totally get it, man. No worries. Well, you mentioned having that initial band, A New Day Awakening. Kind of bring me through the beginning of that and what that was like. Starting a band with your friends.
Yeah, I remember we had this band. So my dad's a pastor, and I grew up playing on the worship team and stuff. And this band from like a church that we were associated with they were called Radiant, I think.
Oh, I think I've heard that. Yeah.
They were from Texas, and they came out. They sounded like Radiohead. I didn't know what Radiohead sounded like at the time, so to me, they sounded like Delirious. And they came out, and we were a small church. It was like maybe 150 people or something. And so just being able to like be there with a person who had a band. And I remember asking him like a million questions, like thinking, this is the coolest thing. You have a band. You came here playing music with your friends. And it was like, that was one of those moments where it was like, it inspired me like, well, I could start a band. I think I could start a band. I play guitar and I write songs. And so I had my friend Andy that played drums that went to my church. And then I met a handful of people at my middle school. One of those people was Ricky Erickson, and he played bass. And I remember like we were in band together, and he played like bass guitar in the band, like the concert band. And I went in, and I don't remember, maybe he was playing like a 5-iron riff or something like that on the bass. And I was like, yes. And so, yeah, me and like the four of us got together, or I guess the three of us then got together and started playing. And then eventually Dave, who actually ended up in Haste today, I met him in 9th grade. He was a sophomore, and we had weights class together. And he was telling me about how he played guitar, and he was really pissed that he himself wasn't in a band, because we had a bunch of friends in high school who were like freshman year, who were like all in these like crappy pop punk bands. And he's like, why won't anybody ask me to be in a band? And I was like, well, do you want to be in my band? And he was like, okay, sure. And so we had like a tryout for him. So he comes over, and it's the three of us plus Dave. Dave pulls out his guitar, and he's got this like Ibanez Iceman guitar that's like just the funniest looking, because like, the rest of us are all into emo and ska and punk and stuff. And he pulls out this super metal looking guitar. And we're like, do you want to play something? He was like, sure. And he just rips out a Metallica solo, like just, whoa. And we were like, he's like doing tapping, and we were like, whoa. I'm like, all right, you're in.
That's incredible.
So, we taught him the songs that we had been writing, and we started playing shows as a 4-piece, and did our first record, like EP with Jason, who used to be in Squad 5-0.
Okay. Anderson?
Jason Anderson, yep.
Yeah.
He recorded all of our stuff. And we recorded that first EP with him, and eventually we had somebody come in and scream on it, like our friend John from another local band that we like idolized. And he did this funny whisper scream where he was like literally whispering into the microphone. But we thought it sounded so cool. And anyway, yeah, we loved that, and eventually decided that we would I would stop playing guitar and just start singing. And we got our friend Marcus to play guitar for us. So we became a 5-piece, and eventually it just kept getting heavier and heavier.
Yeah.
And they kept convincing me that it was a good idea because it was funny because I was like the least metal of all of them. And they were like, but they called me Steve. They're the only people in my life that I let call me Steve. Steve, breakdown. We got to do this breakdown. Bloodlight Calligraphy has this new breakdown. You got to listen to it. And it was all awesome. Very like, we idolized Face Down and
sure.
And like the early Solid State stuff. And yeah, we started playing lots of shows, and thanks to Jason Anderson also, who was like, he was like the hometown, like scene guru who he recorded all the bands. He knew of all the concerts. He was promoting concerts. He knew all the touring, the like smaller touring bands that came through, and he had the connections, and he was really good to us. And, he was always a good person to have in our corner. And I think a lot of like, it's owed to him that we were able to like get some traction in Denver and
sure,
and do things.
Sure. So I assume you played with Haste Today a couple times. And kind of bring me through joining Haste Today. And, you're obviously in a band in Denver playing, local shows, doing these, having these big opportunities open for bands and whatnot. Bring me through joining Haste Today. I'm sure that was an incredible experience for you. An established band that was ripping at the time. Kind of bring me through how that kind of came to.
Yeah. So it's funny. I remember when we all had Burning Bridges, and we all listened to that all the time in our band. And then when Everything Falls came out, like when they dropped that single on MySpace, like the guys came over to my house and they're like, Steve, you have to hear this. And they played it for me, and we were like, this is it. This is what we want to sound like. This is like, it's got pop choruses. It's like emotional, but it's got these like ripping fast. We called every part was like a pit, whatever you do in the pit. So it was like circle pit into 2-step chorus into circle pit into breakdown, and we were like, that's the formula we want to do. Anyway, so we loved Haste Today, and we begged to be on every Haste Today show that came through. And we got on one at Cervantes in Denver. And we played that one. And then the next one we played, we begged to be on that one too. And that one was where was that? That was at Rock Island in Denver. That venue was so cool. But they all came up to me individually and got my phone number. And I was like, this is so sick. We are going to get signed to Solid State Records, and we are going to tour with Haste Today because they all believe in our band. And, but it was just funny because they all individually came up and got my phone number. And then like a month or two later, I remember I was at like a Barnes and Noble. I was 18 still, hanging out at a Barnes and Noble, drinking Starbucks at 9:30 at night with my dudes on a Friday night. And I get this call, and it just says Jason Haste the Day on my phone. And I was like, wow, what? And he's like, hey, we're looking. So Jimmy is quitting the band, and we're looking for someone to fill in. And I still didn't even understand that they wanted me to do vocals. I even was like, they can't want me to do vocals. And so I said, do you mean like on merch? Do you want me to do merch? And they were like, no, on vocals. And I was like, oh. Whoa. And my band at the time had just made the decision. So this is in about October of 2005. And January of 2006, we had decided we were just going to go all in we were going to hit the road. We were going to book our own tours. We were hopefully going to sign to some tiny label that would have, got us nowhere. And we were prepared to quit our jobs and school and all that stuff. And this tour that Jason was asking me to go on was in January, like during the tour.
All of this.
And so I told him no. I was like, I'm sorry, I can't. I'm busy. I've got my own band and I can't do that to the guys. And then so he's like, okay, well, just let us know if anything changes. And so I hang up the phone and everybody's like waiting on bated breath, just like, what did he say? Because I was like, it's Jason from Haste Today calling me. And then they're like, what was that conversation? I was like, he asked me to fill in on vocals for a tour in Europe with the Juliana Theory in January. And they were like, what did you say? And this isn't with I don't think any of the guys in the band were there. Maybe someone who occasionally played drums for us was there, but they're like, what did you say? And I was like, I said, no, I can't do it. Like, New Day Awakening is going on the road. And they were like, are you an idiot? Like, cancel the tour. Like, that is way cooler. And so that night I remember we went over to a friend's house after that. And I'm just like a bundle of nerves. Like, what do I do? I called Jason back and I was like, okay, I'm not saying yes, but I would love more information. And just put me down as a maybe right now. And I call all the other guys in the band. And, they took it as you would expect an 18-year-old to take news like that. They were, pissed and stoked.
Happy. Yeah.
And a bundle of confused emotions. And so they're like, well, you have to do it, but it sucks really bad.
Sure.
Because I think we kind of all knew that if I did do it, that it would probably be the end of the band. Yeah. Because if they asked me to join the band, I'd probably say yes, unless it was some kind of. So I don't know. It was like a really intense thing, and I took a long time to think about it. Man, they were probably sweating because they were putting all their eggs in this one basket.
That's impressive to think at that age to take time to think about that. I feel like at that age I'd be like, yeah, sign me up. I'm good.
Yeah.
Well, that says a lot about you.
It was I loved my friends and I didn't want to be someone who bailed, and I
get that. Loyalty.
Yeah. And I didn't know, it's like, I don't know these guys. Like the most I know of these guys is they write amazing music and they were really nice at that show, but that's all I know. Like, what if they turn out to be like horrible people, And so anyway, eventually I worked at Chili's at the time and I was working the to-go window and I was like, screw this. And I called at this point I had been talking to their manager, Mark LaFay, who had been like, oh, he was trying to scare me. I wasn't his idea, so he didn't want me to do it. So he was trying to scare me out of it. And I was like, it's funny. I pictured this guy in a suit. He was like this big band's manager. So he's like in a suit in an office, like in a skyrise or something.
Sure.
Which is totally not what Mark LaFay was like. He had long hair and his conches were pierced and he wore like metal band t-shirts where you couldn't read the name on it. But anyway, I called him up and I was like, hey, I'm not supposed to be on the phone right now because I'm at work, but I'll do it. And he was like,
what did he say?
He was like, all right, we'll book your
That's
flight.
Hilarious.
And anyway, sorry, that's a long story, but that's a fun one.
Well, obviously that tour went well and they asked you to join the band full time. What was that like, kind of getting that confirmation?
Yeah, I mean, we did that tour and that was so fun and I just meshed with the guys so well. And then we did the next tour was like, it's still insane when I think about it. Like how much I listened to all these bands. It was the Bleeding Through Truth tour.
Jeez.
And it was Bleeding Through Every Time I Die, Between the Buried and Me and Us. And it was like
That's ridiculous.
the wildest like lineup I could possibly think of. And so I did that tour, and it was on that tour that they asked me to be in the band we were all at my parents' kitchen table because we had a show in Denver. And I think it was the day after the Denver show. They were like, we wanted to ask you in front of your family. Do you want to be a part of the band?
Oh, that's really cool.
And, it was cool.
What a special thing.
And I was like, no.
That's amazing.
Just kidding. No, I said yes.
I'll call you and let you know.
Yeah, I'll let you guys know.
That's awesome.
So yeah,
That's
that was
amazing.
pretty special.
So you joined the band, a band that you're a fan of. I know, I'm sure the emotions were up and down and all over the place. You start recording Pressure the Hinges. This is big shoes to fill. Jimmy leaving. I'm sure that was difficult for you at some points and whatnot, but kind of bring me through recording that record, what that was like for you to get in the studio with those guys and write that record.
Yeah, it was definitely a conversation because Jimmy had such a distinct voice.
Sure.
And it was very similar to like Zayo, and that's what I tried to sound like in my early days of screaming. And so I was like, do you want, I'll just do the Jimmy thing, I'll scream like Jimmy. And they were like, no, you scream like Stephen. Like, we asked you to be in the band because we liked the way you scream. So scream the way you like doing it. And so there was they gave me a lot of permission, which was really cool early on. They even brought me into the writing process where I had, of course, full control over all of my vocals and lyrics, but also I got to write a couple songs on that record,
that's awesome,
riffs and stuff. And they were open to hearing it. And yeah, it was a lot of fun, but that record was so intimidating because that was the peak of Haste the Day career. That style of music was really huge at the time. There had been a lot of momentum, and yeah, we eventually lost momentum, but part of that was because the entire music industry was just kind of collapsing at the time. But we had the highest budget on that album that we ever did, and we recorded in Vancouver. We did drums at Bryan Adams' studio called The Warehouse. I think we were in Vancouver for a total of 4 weeks.
That's a long time.
And we only spent a week on drums, but we had 3 weeks of pre-production, just hanging out at a hotel I just drank a lot of Earl Grey tea and walked around Vancouver a lot. And then we went to, because we did the record with Garth Richardson, and we went to his home studio, which was called The Farm, out on Gibson, which is an island over there by Vancouver. You had to take a ferry out there to it. And we were out, I want to say we were out there for 6 weeks or something. It was a long time. And so just to only focus on the album, it was really fun. And it was also it was very intimidating. Garth is he's no joke, man. He's going to tell you when you sound bad. I remember one time he was he told it, we gave him I think we pre-pro'd a chorus idea, and he was he came in and, he's got a stutter. I'm not going to do it now, but he stuttered out, "You sound like a bunch of drunken idiots." Oh,
wow.
And we were ouch. Okay. So rewrite it. He's rewrite it. I'll come back.
Wow.
And so we did that. And that was White Collar. What became the song White Collar, which was really funny.
What did the record turn out the way you wanted it to?
Yeah, I think so. It sounded really good. I think, I was still new at the recording process, so I always have ideas, but like I wasn't comfortable sharing them yet.
Sure.
And I definitely wasn't comfortable sharing my ideas when, we're working with such world-class engineers and
Producers.
a producer, like who had, recorded Rage Against the Machine. Like, how do you go up and be like, no, I don't like that idea that you have. I think we should do this.
Sir, I don't like
excuse
that
me.
idea.
I don't like that idea. Whereas like now, I mean, I'm like a lot older and more mature. I can hold my own now, but it's just
Sure.
So, I mean, I don't think any record that we did met my what I had. It became what I had in my head. Yeah, my expectation. But it did. In some ways, it exceeded my expectation, and in some ways, it was like, well, that kind of turned out weird. But that record, I have a hard time listening to it just because when I listen to it, I hear 19-year-old Stephen. I hear like,
wow,
wow, you're just a child.
I was going to ask you, what do you think about it now? I mean, it sounds like it's, like you said, it's difficult to, and that was a time and a place at that time too.
It was, yeah. And it definitely has like a more of like a Southern twang kind of, that was like when that like kind of, like kind of like riff style was getting popular. I think it's a great record. I think I just have a hard time listening to it for that reason.
Sure.
But I have a hard time listening to anything that I do way later,
No, I get that.
But there are some like really stand apart moments. Chorus of Angels, I always thought like just turned out really cool. And that Stitches chorus is a good chorus. And
it's great.
Brennan's voice sounds incredible throughout that entire record. And Brennan and Mike, man, the pair of them,
they're great.
Became the sound of Haste the Day in my mind. Like, it's just like when you put their voices together, that's the singer of Haste the Day. You know what I mean? Like, it's cool.
I gotcha. So was Tooth and Nail stoked on it? I mean, what were their thoughts? I mean, it's a drastic change.
Yeah. I remember, you always want your label to be more stoked than they actually are on your new stuff. But like, I think anyone who's on the business side of things, like, they're not going to try and give you false hope. Mm-hmm. And they'll love it if it does well, kind of thing,
Sure. No, I get that.
It's like, we'll wait till it's proven and then we'll let you know. So I remember thinking like, oh, they're going to love this. And then feeling a little bit like, oh, they just kind of like it. And, it's just a job.
Did it do well?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it was definitely, it's the highest selling record we ever made. Wow. So definitely it did well. So we were stoked on that, but
I think I booked you guys on that tour or one of the tours after that for sure. That's kind of when I first met you
in Springfield, right? Is that
Wichita?
Right? Wichita. That's right.
Probably the Eagles Lodge. And I had booked Taste Today once or twice with Jimmy beforehand. So they knew the ropes and it was always such a pleasure to work with, those guys. And then of course meeting you and, what was the touring like for that? Was it difficult for you? I know, like I mentioned before, kind of replacing Jimmy. What was it like for you mentally, and kind of how did you deal with, maybe some of the fans saying, oh, whatever it may be? I'm sure that was difficult.
I actually think that I have a story from that very same show that you
really
booked, because you said it was the Eagles Lodge in Wichita.
Yes.
Was that with Abandoned Kansas?
Yes,
Did
it
they
was.
play that show?
And
Yep.
yep.
Okay, so we played in that kind of corner by the.
Yep. By the door, there's a little door on the side. Yep.
A kid passed out at that show during our set, and I ran out there and I gave him water, and I think it was right at the end of our set maybe, and I like ran out there before I did anything. I'm sweaty. I'm like I went out there to check on him, gave him water, and was like, "Are you okay?" And he looked at me, and the very first thing he said was, "Oh, you're that guy from Haste today. I really wish that I saw Jimmy live."
Oh my God.
And I was like, understandable,
cool.
Bro. Jimmy was cool. Jimmy's very cool. But as long as you're cool, as long as you're okay,
as long as you're okay,
I'm gonna go to the merch table now. So I'll remember that till the day I die.
And crappy at the same time.
Yeah, I mean, of course, it was difficult filling Jimmy's shoes because he's like he was everybody's best friend. Like,
yeah.
He had this amazing power of being able to talk to someone in a way that made them feel like they were the most important person on earth. Yeah. And it's not like I'm not a kind person, but I don't have that necessarily. So I'm like, yeah, it was always hard to go up against that.
I'm sure.
And the cool thing about those early days, especially, was that Jimmy was like so supportive of me. And like, I think that it would have been a lot harder if I did not have Jimmy's support. He was always very, really easy to talk to and, helpful and kind of helped me, like, guide me during that time
from a distance.
Yeah, from a distance. Whenever I got to see him, like maybe twice a year or something, 3 times a year or so. But he was always very, very good to me. So that was helpful. But I mean, it always kind of hurt my feelings when fans would be like, "Oh, Jimmy was my favorite and you suck." Like, I have so many stories of like weird things that people would do to me to like make sure that I knew that I was not as good as Jimmy.
Unbelievable.
And you know what? Like, you always have those old albums. Go listen to the old albums, dude. Like, we're moving on. We're good. Like, and like, Jimmy wanted to step down, so he did, and they asked me to be in the band, so suck it.
Dude, totally. You deserve to say that. I mean, like, you were out there doing what you were asked to do and what you could do. So, I mean, absolutely, man. And I, again, from my perspective, booking you guys, I thought you guys were just crushing it, and the live show was great and it was different in a good way. Like, and, I know on the later albums, your musical part of it, came out even more so. So that's even a cooler aspect of it. Next record, Dreamer. Kind of bring me through that record. Do you kind of take the reins a little more, writing with the guys, and kind of bring me through the recording of that?
Yeah, that was, life got kind of hard during that time. We had just basically kicked out our guitar player, Jason, because he told us that he wasn't a Christian anymore, and we were so married to the idea that we were a ministry and all of that stuff, and we just couldn't have a non-Christian in the band. And I look at that very differently now, and although I'm happy with how things kind of turned out, I still think that maybe that was not the right move for Jason. Like, it's just like it's kind of crappy, it was not a cool thing to do. And so we didn't have a guitar player. Like, I mean, Brennan played guitar, but he didn't really want to, like, Jason played all the guitars on Pressure the Hinges, and Brennan didn't really want to. That wasn't what he wanted to focus on, singing and all of that stuff. So we got Andreas Magnusson to come out to Indianapolis. And he produced the record from a little studio in Indianapolis. Azimuth maybe is what it was called. But we had to hire a guitar player because I wasn't good enough to play the parts. I wrote a lot of the parts, but I couldn't like play them. Metal was just not my style. So like I'd write like a sludgy riff, that was like, I was very into post-hardcore. And I was kind of, I think Devin said it on your podcast when you interviewed him that I was definitely trying to like bring more post-hardcore influence into
absolutely.
Haste Today. And I was, that's what I really liked at the time. And it was just funny. It's like when you write a riff, you drop it into the Haste Today machine and it comes out a metal riff. It doesn't matter what it is. You just drop it into the Haste Today machine and it like with Devin playing the drums and even like cause we all worked on the songs together in like a practice space. And it was just like, I wrote this sludgy riff and I was like, this is how you play it. And everybody's like, okay. And then it's like, and I was like, that wasn't what I had in mind, but that is pretty sick. Okay. But anyway, it was just like it was an interesting recording process because we didn't have a Haste the Day guitar player.
Who played the guitar on that?
Randy Vanderbilt. He was the guitar player of Andreas's old band Scarlet.
Oh, okay, cool. Very cool.
Yeah, he was a super good guitar player. And it was cool because like I was in the studio, I think like 100% of the time on that record. Like we were doing it in Indianapolis, so a lot of the other guys were at home, like or with their girlfriends or whatever, and I was there every day with Andreas. Like, okay, here's the next riff, like, and I'd show it to Randy and he'd play it. And Brennan would come in and Brennan's songs that he wrote, he would show them to Randy and Randy would play it. And I do remember it was just so much fun recording that record, but it was really scary for me because Jason wrote a ton of the material and then all of a sudden I was writing the majority of it. And I didn't feel ready. I felt like I could only write these. It's not like I'm like a metal guitar player. So it was just interesting. But it came out to be like because my style was like more like haunting or an adult tree or labyrinth. Those were songs that I like. When I hear the guitar on those, I'm like, that's my style of guitar playing. Like lots of octaves and like weird chords that are like, you know, probably too spread out when you're playing high gain music, like that kind of stuff. Yeah. And, but it made, I think that sound that I was writing put through the Haste the Day machine turned it into something that was really cool. And
yeah, totally.
You know, that's another record where like I had a hard time listening to it for a long time and I listened to it recently and I was like, there's some really cool stuff on there. And some of the vocal stuff turned out really cool. And yeah, it just turned out to be a pretty rad record. Like Brennan's voice sounds incredible. One really funny thing about that record was that actually I had, I just had coffee with Seth Webster from Oh Sleeper. He lives in Nashville as well. And I was literally talking to him about this morning, but back then Andreas had just done When I Am God. And Shane is like one of the most amazing guitar players. He's a ripper, and so, so he could record his guitar parts in like 2 days. But Brennan, so he was like, Andreas was like, man, every time we'd record any guitars, he's like, man, Oh Sleeper really has guitars dialed. Shane recorded rhythms in 2 days, and like leads in like a few more days, it's like, and you guys really struggle at this. You guys are, what's going on? Like just like poking the insecurity of the band, right?
Wow.
And then we find out later that when No Sleepers in the studio with Andreas for whatever the next record they did was, I can't remember the name of it. He was doing that to them with vocals. Like Haste Today is just, man, they can just knock out their vocal
He knew
takes.
what to do. He knew what he was doing.
He knew what he was doing. Yeah. And so whenever we toured together later, we were like sharing Andreas stories and we were like, oh my God, he pitted us against each other. And we just became such good friends after that because it was just,
that's awesome.
We were like, oh man.
That's amazing. Funny. Did the record turn out the way you wanted it to on this one?
On this new one?
On the Dreamer?
On Dreamer.
Yeah.
Yes and no. I didn't really know what to expect anymore. It was very different than Pressure the Hinges. But it's hard to remember. I remember being excited about it.
Sure.
It's hard to remember what my mindset was. Because also, like, I mean, we did that stuff so fast. It was like, you're on the road, and then you come home for 2 weeks, you write a record, and then you're in the studio for a month, and then you're back on the road. Like again. It was like, it was so fast. And it's like, you barely have time to even analyze if you like it or not. You're just writing. But I think I was really proud of it at the time.
That's awesome. It's a great record. I love it. It's one of those that kind of grew on me over the time. Like, I think at that point I was kind of detaching myself from like you're booking all those shows. It just all started to sound the same. I hate to say that.
No, it does.
And so there was a lot of records I just missed because I was like, I hear metal bands all the time and I just can't keep up.
Yeah.
So I was listening to a lot of different stuff, but when I finally listened to it, I was like, this is a great record. And I can totally hear your influence on, like you mentioned, on those songs. But touring for this, was that exciting as well? What was that like?
Yeah. I mean, so it was exciting for me because we replaced Jason with my best friend Dave, who I talked about earlier. And so then I started getting to tour with, I got to bring Dave into this thing, and our tour, it was funny because like I feel like we toured for a few years and we just kept losing members. Like Devin quit pretty soon after Dreamer. I don't even know if I think maybe he did one tour after that, but I don't remember. And then Brennan quit about a year later.
Crazy.
Yeah, so it was just like ever evolving, and we held on to Mike as our one original member.
Yes.
And yeah, it was just an ever evolving dynamic of people, but we always had fun, and we had I think as a group we had a really good eye for what was going to work for us personality wise. So we had tried a few options for each position, and what we landed on for Attack of the Wolf King was like, we're all still like brothers, that became a very tight knit group. And the lineup that we still have today, plus Brennan is back in. So
yeah. That's awesome. I love that. I mean, it's, like having two core members leave, I'm sure that was difficult, but it's like, you're kind of just dredging on and doing what you are, you're kind of becoming that new band essentially. And you mentioned Attack of the Wolf King record. Kind of bring me through that recording, what that was like. Was that, you brought your friend Dave in, like you said, what was that like recording that record and thoughts from that?
Yeah, that record was really special, I think, because we were so tight. Like, we had a few years of touring together, except I think Scotty had just joined the band around that time.
Oh, yeah.
But we had at least a year of touring with Giuseppe before that. we were just getting tighter and like as people, like we hung out, which in the early days, like when I joined the band, the guys, it was like they all had already had their camaraderie time. So then it was like they were all shifting into, significant other time. Like, whereas like I was like the single guy, like,
let's go on the road.
I don't know what to do. Why are we hanging around here? Let's go. And so as they kind of phased out, it was all the new members were kind of in the same place. We were all like, Mike had a serious girlfriend, but like the rest of us we just wanted to tour and make music and all that stuff. And so writing that record was really fun. I just remember it being like a blast. We would all stay at my house in Indianapolis. I lived in this really sketchy neighborhood where like if you left something outside, it would be stolen in like 10 seconds. And we all stayed at that house, and I had this little like bedroom studio upstairs where we demoed out that entire record, almost exactly the way that it is on the record, to the tempos,
Insane.
To the structure, to everything. We had demoed everything out, except for vocals, in that upstairs studio and on the road too. Like we did that tour with The Devil Wears Prada and Story of the Year, and we wrote a lot of Attack, or at least like 3 or 4 songs of Attack of the Wolf King on that tour, just on a laptop in the van. Like I bought this little thing so that I could plug my guitar into my I think I used Reason at the time, thanks to Chris from Under Oath for giving me my first copy of Reason.
Nice.
But yeah, we had a blast writing that record. And then we went in to record it with Andreas in Richmond, and like the songs were already really solid. So it was just like really easy to lay everything down. We were hanging out all the time, playing Mario Kart and watching Lost whenever Lost would be on TV. Like it was so fun. It was like the pinnacle of fun. And I think that's why that record came out as good as it did.
You're all clicking on all cylinders.
We were. It was like the peak of all of our talents. Like we had been really honed at that time. Scotty was just such an amazing guitar player. Giuseppe was such an amazing drummer. They still are today. And we all just got along really well and had a blast. So yeah, so that record feels like that to me. So when I listen to those songs, I just kind of feel that camaraderie.
So that turned out the way you wanted it, sounds like.
Yeah, production wise, I think it was a little more sterile than I wanted it to be. I like a lot of looseness. I like a little bit of a out of tune string on the guitar every once in a while.
Sure.
I like some give and pull, some pull and
some
push,
tension of it.
some tension in the song. But that was the style of production at that time, was just like perfect, almost computer
crisp
style, crisp stuff. And so I think it turned out great for the era. And yeah. And that was our least selling record for a really long time.
What, you obviously put this record out, you hit the road again. It sounds like you're just nonstop on this. And then you guys decide to kind of take a break or break up. What kind of bring me through the thoughts on that?
Yeah, we touring got harder. It got more. We were making less and less money. It was becoming harder and harder to pay our bills touring full time. We were like,
sure.
I mean, we toured between 250 and 280 shows a year or something like that. So it was like constant constantly on the road. We were doing international tours. We were doing a lot of support tours. And that was just a time when metalcore was getting less popular. It was a time when the music industry was like, we were in this awkward phase before streaming really took effect and after people stopped buying records. And so to us, it was hard because like we look at like Pressure the Hinges, and I think Pressure the Hinges sold like, I can't remember
a billion.
How much. It was like almost 100,000 in the first week or something.
That's insane. That is insane.
It was very good. Maybe it was like 70,000 in the first week. But I remember it being like, I was very impressed by that number. And I want to say Attack the Wolf King did like 11 or something like that. And I could be wrong in my numbers. It could have just felt like that, or it could have been worse. I don't remember. Sure. But it was just getting harder, and
writing was on the wall.
Yeah. And
I get that.
So we started hitting we started staying with people, which was the beginning of the end.
I understand that.
We were going backward. We were going backwards in our career. Like, cause you have that period where you like, you stay with the fans, or you stay with somebody from the show, and then, hotels. Maybe you get up to where you're getting one hotel room a night. When I joined the band, they were doing 2 hotel rooms a night. We were like, all right, this is
living
great.
Like kings.
We did like one tour on a bus. And then it just started going backwards. And we were I
get it.
Going from selling $1,200 to $2,000 or something in merch on just like a normal night to selling $150 or $300.
Wow.
It's like, and there were fewer and fewer people at our shows, and it was just getting hard, and I was tired. Mike was tired, and me and Mike and our manager at the time had a pact that if one of the 3 of us was out, we were all out.
Yeah.
And if me and Mike were out, then the band was done, basically.
Yeah.
And I remember the day we were on the road, and Mike and I looked at our phones and saw an email from Mark that came in, and he was like, "I'm out, guys. Like, I've got to take a step back. I don't want to be in music management anymore." And he was like a band member, so it was like,
sure.
Me and Mike looked at each other, I remember, and we both said it was a good run.
Yeah.
And then we had to tell the rest of the band, which sucks for them. Like, Scotty just started playing with us. They were ready to go. Scotty, Dave, and Giuseppe, like, they were ready to keep going. They wanted to tour more. They like were not tired of it yet. And me and Mike had just kind of had it, and
sure.
We were just ready for something new. And
I get that, man.
And it was funny because then we did our final tour, our farewell tour, and everybody came out of the woodwork for that.
Yeah.
And that like destroyed. We were like, where did all these people go?
I know, right? Like, dude. I vividly remember you guys played Wichita. I actually didn't book that show. I had stopped booking shows at that point when the industry had caved in somewhat. But I do remember vividly, and I think I told Devin this, when I was standing on the side stage, and Mike and I locked eyes during the show, and I had booked Haste Today probably 4 or 5 times at least. And so we always had a good connection and whatnot, and we locked eyes, and I saw him whisper the words "thank you," when that really meant a ton.
That's awesome.
Me.
That's really cool.
It was like a moment I'll never forget.
Yeah.
And it's weird, I get emotional thinking about it, because like so much of my life was, putting on shows and just trying to like bring beautiful things to beautiful people.
Yeah.
And it was a moment I'll never forget. But anyway, not about me.
No,
you break
that's
up.
Really cool. I love that.
No, dude, dude, it was a magical moment for me for sure. Yeah. So then you wind up getting back together and putting the Coward record out. Let's talk about that briefly. What brought that on and kind of what your thoughts on that record?
Yeah. I'll keep this story short, but we had, oh man, the work that I had to do, and I know a lot of the other members had to do to separate our identity from Haste the Day after breaking up was so deep and difficult. And, we all, you leave the road and you're not qualified to do anything else. So you end up working at a restaurant or whatever. And so this is years later. I'm about to get married, and Mark was the one, I think he initiated it. Maybe me and him started talking about what it could look like to do another Haste the Day album. And I was working the weirdest job at the time. I was maintaining the landscaping for cell phone towers across the country.
Wow.
So basically I was on tour maintaining cell phone towers. And it was the worst job I've ever had. It was the hardest job I've ever had because it was you had to do 20 towers a day. We'd wake up at 4:30. We'd wake up at 4:30, be at the first tower by the first sliver of sunlight. Mm-hmm. And we would be finishing the last tower at the last sliver of sunlight.
Oh my God. I've worked a job like that. That sucks.
The chafing, man, it's awful.
I believe it.
But yeah. And I remember being on that, out there in the truck, just maybe we should do this. And we had the idea. We had done the Haste the Day versus Haste the Day DVD and live album before we broke up, and that was
great.
That was a really fun. Thank you. That was a really fun thing to do. So we started playing around with the idea of what if we had everybody who's ever been involved in Haste the Day on the record, and we still keep it a core group. And there was, man, I loved making that record and it was really cool, but there were a lot of politics, inter band politics that were involved. There's no way you can make 9 people happy.
Yeah.
Feelings were hurt. There, and things were, old wounds were brought up and ripped open, and some things were resolved. So it was a really weird thing to do, but we were so proud of that album. I was so proud of how that album turned out. It got a little squashed in the mastering, which is why we did the remix and remaster.
Sure.
Cause it just was so, you couldn't really hear anything that was going on.
Yeah.
Which is a bummer because I produced that record. Matt Goldman mixed it. And just the mix of Matt Goldman and the mastering engineer we had, and I didn't know enough about that stuff to push back, or identify what was wrong with it. And anyway, I was really proud of how the songs came together on that album. And, we did have a blast making it. It was Scotty came out. Scotty did most of the guitars on it. Except for the original lineup song. And yeah, it was a blast. And those lyrics are some of my favorite lyrics I've ever written. Some of the most personal lyrics I've ever written, for sure.
That's awesome.
So
it's a great record. It's really cool. It's a cool idea that you guys did that. I'm sure that's difficult. Like you mentioned, 9 people wanting to be happy and, maybe go a certain way, but yeah, I think it turned out really good.
Thank you.
Pretty fitting, for you guys being a last record per se.
Yeah.
Until recently.
Yeah.
Dissenter. Bring me through the new record. I know you were with As Days Burn for a little bit, and you had your little solo project, and you've got so much going on. But kind of bring me through this new record, Dissenter. What's the details on it?
Yeah. So back in 2023, we got an offer for Furnace Fest, and that's kind of what brought us out of retirement. And I'll make this quick, but we didn't all want to do it. And so it was like a really tough thing to get everybody on board.
Oh, wow.
And it's hard to open up after you spend all that time, distancing yourself from the identity of, say, Stephen from Haste the Day, or Mike from Haste the Day, or Dave from Haste the Day, like to just being Stephen, Mike, Dave,
Yeah.
And to be able to trudge that back up again, it's kind of a tough thing to do. But eventually, once we realized that we could do it without making it our identity, it became clear that it was like, why not? Why wouldn't we do it? Like, there's people who want to hear it. So we have an opportunity to actually do this. I mean, we're getting old, and but we're also not like burnt out, let's make some music. Let's see what happens.
And you're not on the road 24/7.
Yeah. Like
doing
we have
it at your own
totally
pace.
Different life experience now. And so, yeah, we ended up playing Furnace Fest, and we loved it so much. And we started talking then about like, well, what if we just started writing again? What would that look like? What would we even want to do? What's the, what could we do? And we decided, we were like, well, let's just make the best metalcore music that we can make. That is like, draws from our experience over the years.
Sure.
And it really turned out like that, I think. And
that's awesome.
And we took forever to make it. It was awesome. It was like, instead of having to make it in 1 month, I produced it here in my home studio, and we took our time, and I'd sit with songs and would write lyrics over the course of a year. Like,
wow.
Because there was no expectation. Like, who cares?
Sure.
Like, I could just keep making this great. And I'm really like, we're really making it for ourselves. Like,
yeah.
And how do we make it the absolute best we can be? And yeah, so really.
Is it the best Haste Today record?
Yes, absolutely it is. No question in my mind. It's the best one.
Production, everything turned out the way you wanted it to.
Absolutely. This one turned out more like I wanted it to than any other record we've ever done. Like, the final masters are like, in my mind, and I don't care what anybody else thinks, in my mind, they're perfect. I'm like,
wow,
there's nothing I would change. And it's because we got to spend so much time on it. And, the thing is, I've heard these songs over and over again for the last 2 years. So yeah. I'm a little biased, but, I think that they're all rippers, man. They're like,
that's awesome.
Each song has its own identity, but it still sounds like Haste Today. We're not like, because I know a lot of bands, they come out with like new music and try and reinvent themselves to be radio rock or whatever. And we intentionally didn't want to do that. We were like, let's just be Haste Today. Let's write a Haste Today album, but let's fix all the things that we didn't like about the previous albums, and let's just make it great.
Yeah.
And so
that's awesome.
I feel very good about it. And
that's awesome.
I hope other people like it. I think they will.
I'm sure they will.
But,
I see a big buzz about it. So I feel like it's going to be a big record for you guys for sure.
Thank you.
Any shows planned or anything possibly like that?
Yes. And I don't have all the dates, but they're going to be in May. Okay. I don't know when this comes out.
Probably in March.
This will come out in March.
Yeah.
So we'll probably announce, let me just make sure in this email that I literally just got.
A tour with Metallica?
Close. Now, I might have to tell you to take this out, but we got confirmed for Louder Than Life.
Oh, nice.
So that'll be
I'll push
awesome.
this back then. I'll push this back. I'll make it to when it gets announced.
Oh my god.
That's incredible.
Look at this. Oh, look at this. Oh my gosh. We're playing on the same stage as Thrice and Alexis on Fire.
Oh my. That's amazing, dude. It's epic. Good for you.
Okay. Yeah, if I have to make you take that out, then sorry.
Yes, I will let you know. It's fine. No worries.
But cool. That's great.
That's exciting.
News. Very exciting.
Yeah, man.
So yeah, I think it's going to be great. A great year. We've got a bunch of shows in May.
Cool.
And we'll be playing Nashville and Atlanta in May. Pretty sure we'll be doing Pomona, California, and Phoenix, Arizona.
Oh, cool.
And I'm pretty sure we're doing Seattle and Portland.
Very cool.
As well. So
that's amazing. That's exciting.
Yeah.
Back on the horse, man.
Back on the horse, and then that's it. It's like play some shows and go back home.
Dude, I love that. Well, Stephen, I know you can't predict the future, but what do you think the future looks like for you overall?
For me, I just want to keep making things. I mean, I love making art, whether that's music or visual art or whittling wood and carving some little bowl or something. I just love making things. And so as long as my life has my family in it and my friends and my art, I am going to be a happy camper. So
that's awesome. I love that.
I'm not going to put too many expectations on my life. I do have goals, but I'll work on those in the shadows.
Sure. That's awesome, man. Well, super enjoyed this conversation. It's really cool to reconnect. It's been a while, like I said earlier, and really stoked for you and the future. You've got, not only with the band, but with your career and your family and whatnot. Super honored to hang out with you for a little bit, and you just tell me your journey. So I appreciate you hanging out with me, Stephen.
Yeah, man. Thank you so much for having me on the podcast, Jeremy.
Hey, listener, thank you so much for tuning in again and again. I really appreciate it, guys. It's been an honor to be on this journey with you guys, so thank you for that. Thank you for listening week in and week out. If you'd like to add me on Instagram, at The Rumors Are Truecast. If you'd like to add me on Facebook, at The Rumors Are Truecast. If you'd like to like and subscribe, you know the drill. So thank you again, listener. Thank you to Stephen Keech. Awesome conversation. So honored to have you on the podcast, to hear your journey and what you've got in this upcoming future. So again, thank you to Stephen Keech. Got some incredible artists on the horizon, guys. You know it. Nostalgia is still a heck of a drug. The podcast is produced by Wesley Hill, artwork by Jared Chase Bowser, and music by Brian Jaron. This episode is dedicated to the memory of my dear friend, producer, and man of many talents, Brian Jaron.